Hi, I'm Robin Pearson with A Friend Indeed, and thank you again for joining me on this live. Today, I wanted to talk about challenging behaviors. Um, that's how I start off. Isn't that a challenging behavior? Anyhow, talking about challenging behaviors. When you are caregiving for a loved one who is living with dementia or any challenges, sometimes they, like everyone else on this planet, exhibits challenging behaviors. It's really important to remember to be curious. All behavior has meaning behind it, and it's up to us to put that detective hat, so to speak, on and find out what's going on for them. And that can help explain about their behaviors, what it means. So I'd like to tell a couple of stories. I won't share names, but I remember visiting one gal who was living in a care facility, and I had been with her for quite some time, so we got to know one another quite well. She was in a wheelchair, didn't speak too much. She could say yes and no and a few little phrases. And anyhow, we were just tootling around. I was pushing her in the wheelchair. And we came through an empty dining room. And all of a sudden, she got really anxious and she had she was just not herself. She was just very upset, just all of a sudden, as we were going through this empty dining room. And so I went with my gut feeling based on what I know about her. And we exited the dining room. And when we did, I stopped. I came around to the front of her, got down so I was eyeball to eyeball with her, and I took her hands in mine and I said, "Mary, what's going on?" I wanted to see what how she responded to that. Not so much verbally, but with her expressions, with her body language, even, words. And I could tell that she had felt really upset. She didn't know how to put it into words. And what I did was I remembered back to the bio that I learned from the family about this lady. And this is a lady who really prided herself in her earlier days of putting on lovely events for families and friends, welcoming people into her home, making sure everything is just perfect. The table is set nicely, everything, the best of everything is out, just making a really great impression. Now, I didn't know for sure, but I took a guess. Going through that dining room and seeing that, there were some tables that hadn't yet been cleaned up. They were a little bit messy still, you know, maybe, just maybe, that caused her to think back to some of her events that she put on and cause some residual anxiety about things not being how she would like them. So, I mean, all of that happened just very, very quickly. And so, still standing in front of her, eyeball to eyeball, her hands in my hands. And I said, "You know what, Mary? Everything is all taken care of. Everything is as it should be, and it looks great." And I also said, "Thank you very much for helping out. We couldn't have done it without you." All of a sudden, it was like winning the lottery. All of a sudden, her face relaxed. She smiled, and you could see this relief on her face. Now, nothing had changed but her perception. And I happened to hit it right on the head of the nail. That's how she was feeling. That's what caused that behavior. And I was able to provide what she was needing, that reassurance, to help her feel better, and then move away from that behavior. And off we continued on our little stroll. So that's one example. I remember another example, and again, different lady, different facility, similar circumstances, but yet different. With this gal, we had been visiting for quite some time. She was advanced Alzheimer's, not verbal. A little bit of yes, a little bit of no. In a wheelchair as well. This is a different gal. When I started my visit, I was coming up the hallway, and this lady had just finished receiving some care, some support in the washroom by the lovely staff at the facility. My hat always goes off to facility staff, and everything that they do for their residents is definitely to be acknowledged. Anyhow, when I had arrived, this gal, she really had fought the care. I don't know what has happened prior to my arriving, but when I arrive, I want to make sure that the person that I'm visiting is feeling good. If they are not feeling good, I want to help them to feel a little better. Anyhow, she was not happy. Everything that needed to be done was done, which was great. And now there needed to be a major pivot, which I was very thankful that I arrived when I did. So again, I knew what had gone on. I can clearly see how she is feeling. But she needs to be able to express herself. So again, getting down to her level, putting her hands into mine and looking at her, oh goodness, Linda, again, not her name. What's going on? Oh, and she made these faces and made these noises, and you could tell that she was mad. Linda, you seem very upset. Yes. Linda, how about we get going? Yes. All right. So I get behind her and I'm pushing her along in her wheelchair. And then I had a bright idea, because that happens ever so often. My bright idea, I stopped, came around in front of her hands in mine, eyeball to eyeball. I said, you know what? This has been a real tough day. Yes. And I put my fist like that, made the declaration. How about the rest of the day? It's going to be an easy day for you, for me. And if we come across somebody that's, making things difficult, we're just going to leave them in the dust. If something's not working out, we'll just stop and go on to something else. And she said, yes. So it's like, all right, we have decided it's going to be an easy day. So I got behind her and was pushing her along. And there was somebody coming up the hallway as we were coming down, knowing full well that this lovely lady living with Alzheimer's, she's not going to remember what we had declared. So taking the opportunity with that person walking up, we said, we're taking an easy day today. And not only is it including letting that new person in on what we're up to, but it's a reminder for my lady. It's a reminder for what we're standing for. And it allowed that other person to say, all right, Linda, you go for it. Yeah. And so it just, by the time we got to the end of the hallway, everything was great. You know, just sometimes that's all that we need is that declaration, that little period of time, some movement, a change, even if it's around a corner, even if it's through a set of doors, even if it's somebody looking right into your eyes, acknowledging how you're feeling, what you've said, or you know, how, just all of that. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that's a lot. Sometimes that's all that's needed for your loved one, for yourself, for the people around you. So, challenging behaviors. What's the meaning? And by giving ourselves and that other person a little bit of space, a little bit of love, more love, yeah, it can help. It can help us a moment a little bit easier, be a little bit easier. Yeah, it can mean that it could be a better day for everyone. So I hope that's helpful. Again, I'm Robin Pearson. I'm with A Friend Indeed, and you're more than welcome to visit us on our website at getafriendindeed.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We'd love to hear from you if you have any questions, or any topics that you'd like me to talk about. Thank you very much and have a great day. Bye.